Hello, everyone. I do hope you're enjoying the dramatic reading of Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, as it does help my channel grow, and I'm desperate to try to get to at least 90 subscribers before the end of October. Without further ado, Chapter 6, 364 Days to Halloween. Whoa! Snowflakes danced in the air around Jack as he tumbled down, spiraling wintry vortex. The cold air nipped at his finger bones. It carried notes of peppermint and cinnamon. He could hear Zero barking in the distance, but Jack was somewhere else entirely now. After a dizzying amount of time, his body rattled softly as he landed on a pile of icy white flakes. He was in a whole world of them. It was in a whole world of them. But what were they, and what was the source of that delicious aroma and the magical tingling bells? He pressed his hand to his skull until his vision began to steady. What's this? His eye sockets couldn't get any wider as his head twisted back and forth. He tried to take it all in at once. His jawbone chucked open from his sheer incredulity. Another town nested in a white-covered valley set in adorable magical village. Bright-colored strings of lights gave it a festive air, a cozy glow from the decorative windows on each house and buildings. A delightful train choo-chooed in and out of equally delightful tunnels. As much as he searched, Jack didn't see a single ghost, no impaled pumpkin heads on spikes, no yellow moonlight casting long shadows. He'd never seen anything like this. He gasped at the night sky. What were those twinkling things overhead? Why, they were stars. There were no stars in Halloween Town, but here they shone down on the mysterious town like someone had thrown handfuls of glitter into a dark blue blanket. Jack felt himself leaning forward, entranced by the marvelous spectacle, and suddenly leaned too far and toppled forward. Unbalanced, he sunk his hand into the frosty stuff, so soft, so wonderfully chill on his bones. He scooped up a handful of the cold substance, inspected, and why not, took a bite. Intriguingly, so fresh, such zing. He untangled his long limbs and stood at full height on the hill to see better. There, tiny people with pointed ears were skating on a frozen lake with a line of penguins. And there, multicolored electrical bulbs blinked on a decorated tree. In his excitement, Jack lost his balance again and pinwheeled forward. The white stuff formed a wonderful kind of sled that zipped him down the mountain and straight into the center of town. He popped his head up and leapt to his feet, eager to inspect every single thing and unsure where to start. He grabbed a flake between his fingers and examined it. It couldn't be real. Every chimney and mailbox threatened to burst with excitement. More fluffy white stuff covered the rooftops like cozy quilts. Twinkling lights surrounded each storefront window. What's this? And this, he cried. Someone had rolled the fluffy white stuff into 3 large balls of dissenting size, stacked them and gave them a person-shaped tower, a hat, and a carrot for a nose. Oh, how clever. It looks like a man. Jack heard high-pitched voices in song and tossed his head up. Some kind of vehicle was gliding smoothly his way. It wasn't a hearse, it wasn't a wagon pulled by a team of ghost horses. Even more curious, it appeared to be powered by a penguin juggling on a wheel in the rear, where an engine should be. 3 rosy-cheeked creatures rode on the vehicle and sung songs full of cheer as it schemed along. A wonderful thought entered Jack's skull. What if the sweet little creatures saw him? He didn't want to frighten them, at least not until he knew what they were, what this place was. He needed more time to study and interrogate. New world. The person-shaped stack of roll balls was about his height, so he thrust his bones right into the center of it and placed the top hat on his own head. Fortunately, his skull was the same glossy white color as the icy stuff. He couldn't hide a moment sooner. In the next instant, more of the little creatures came his way, riding a large white bear with a red and white checkerboard saddle with a golden key in its side to engage the mechanical parts. Why, it was a toy. That explains why the bear didn't gobble up the little creatures. I must be dreaming, Jack thought, then chuckled. So be it. If I am, I never want to wake up again. As soon as the coast was clear, he burst his way out of the cold statue and kept to the shadows, crept as quietly as a spider along the storefronts. More of the cheerful creatures passed by him, wearing big smiles as though they'd never been frightened a day in their life. Had they never met the creature under the stairs, the undersea gal? No, not a single wolfman. From his hiding spot high atop the street lamp, he watched the little people ball up handfuls of fluffy flakes and throw them at one another. So it wasn't all merriment. This place, after all. In this place, after all. Here was a fight. For a fleeting moment, Jack felt a pang of disappointment, but then he realized that instead of screaming and crying, everyone was laughing. It wasn't a fight at all. It was play. Snowball coming, one of the creatures yelled, tossing another ball. Snow, Jack replied silently to himself, testing out the strange word. It must be the name of the icy flakes. He felt as though he'd heard it before, maybe in the land of the living, something about a monster called a Yeti. He toyed with a string of colorful lights and then sunk back in dreamy reverence against one of the houses. This one had a rather circular, the round of the front door window. And to his delight, when he peeked inside, he saw a rosy-nosed couple kissing beneath mistletoe. Delightful. Jack crept along the same house until he reached another window. He wondered. A wonderful sugary scent wafted his way. He peeked inside. There was a warm fire in the fireplace. There were no spiders in the corners of the rooms. He didn't smell a trace of wormswort. Instead of dead rodents nailed to the wall, there were photographs of happy people, while a penguin reclined on a pillow in front of the roaring fireplace. A gray-haired woman, Jack assumed must be a witch, judging by her pointed boots, was kindly reading stories to two small children. Not a very witchy thing to do. He hurried to the next house. He saw no poison in the cupboards, no rotting cabbage on the dinner table. The residents of this house, or this home, had brought a little green tree inside the house. What strange beasts! They were draping a small tree with strings of colorful lights and miniature ornaments. But why? How would twinkling lights scare anyone? Were they going to strangely one another with the wires? Were they going to strangle one another with the wires? It's almost like they don't want to scare anyone, he mused. It's like they'd rather have fun. Why, that's it, exactly. Fun. With a happy cry, Jack leapt into a windowsill and then onto the neighbor's roof, where he scrambled to the very top and marveled at the stars overhead. What was this feeling in his bones? He never felt so light. He wanted to twirl and dance and sashay with the snow itself. I want something new. Oh, I wanted something new, he whispered to himself. Is this what I wished for? He heard soft snoring and swing down from the rooftops to peek inside another window. Uh, as his curiosity got the better of him, he quietly unlatched it and snuck inside. It was a charming little bedroom with tiny tots asleep in bunk beds and dresser drawers. He'd spent a lifetime learning how to terrify small sleeping children, but for some reason he didn't feel inclined to frighten the sleeping angels. How deep they slumbered. He just he took a peek under the bed and found only tiny shoes, no monsters at all. What would all his friends in Halloween Town think of this? Jack tiptoed to the next bedroom and bent down to inspect the handful of children tucked beneath the covers. They smiled in their sleep as though they were having pleasant dreams instead of nightmares. Did these children even know about vampires? Had they ever awoken to the creaking devil looming over them? They were so vulnerable, tucked in their beds, that it would almost be too easy to terrify them. But scaring them was the furthest thing from Jack's mind. He didn't want their screams, he wanted their smiles. What an extraordinary realization. Sighing from the dreamy feeling of having discovered something new within himself, he gave one of the creatures a gentle pat and then slunk back out the bedroom window. The sleeping tot jolted awake, but Jack was already gone. The skeleton danced his way onto the next rooftop, which appeared to belong to some sort of factory. Although frost hid the windows, he watched the silhouette of a little creature merrily making rocking horses, and toy trains. Incredible, Jack whispered. He hooked the curved handle of the umbrella he'd taken from the snow-shaped man into a garland and slid his way across town, marveling at a pie displayed in a bakery window. Then he dropped onto the merry-go-round that had models of penguins and bears bobbing up and down on poles instead of horse corpses, like all the rides in Halloween Town. He let the ride spin him around, his head dizzy, full of wondrous new thoughts. For so long he felt an emptiness deep in his bones. What was this? What had been missing in his life? Snow, teddy bears, pie. He twirled off the merry-go-round, landing on the town's jolly train, and rode it until the very last second it disappeared into a tunnel. He jumped off at the last minute onto a sled that slid him back down the mountain into the center of town. He jumped off that a little too late, and without watching where he was going, collided with a tall red and white striped pole and fell backwards into the snow. Pressing his hand to his aching skull, he squinted up at the sign he'd run into, Christmas Town. His mind turned back to it, to that strange clearing of the hinterlands, and the tree with their odd symbols that were actually doors. One had been a jack-o'-lantern shape, which logically must lead to Halloween Town. He opened the door with the shape of the decorative little tree and ended up here in Christmas Town. That meant there must be equally strange worlds through all the other doors. The train whistled. A train whistle blasted somewhere nearby, hinging, groaned as a giant door flew open on the largest house in town. With a gasp, Jack hid his thin body behind the town sign, peeking out cautiously. A deep voice rumbled out into the night, "Ho, ho, ho." Along with the voice, a gigantic shadow stretched onto the hill. Here was something familiar to Jack. A hulking shadow. A deep crackling thought. It wasn't exactly sinister. Whoever this new person was, he was much larger and more frightening than the town's cheery little creatures. Hey, maybe this was the leader of Christmas Town. Jack narrowed his eyes, wondering this ho-ho-hoing shadow might not like having another king in town. That is the end of Chapter 6. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next episode. Goodbye.